Hello and welcome. It looks like I've managed to go live there. Hello, I hope you're all well. If somebody could just do me a favour and let me know into the chat that you can see my screen and that you can hear me, that would be fabulous. I can see there are loads of people still joining. Okay, so if someone can just let me know into the chat that you can hear me. I've got a new computer, so that's going to be important to check. And that you can also see the presentation deck. Lovely, thank you, Claire. You can see and hear me, fabulous. I can see that there are still loads of people joining now. I'm not going to wait very long because I don't want to keep those of you that have turned up promptly waiting. Here we go, I can see a good few people coming in now. Right then, lovely. While we're waiting, it'd be interesting for me to know whether you've been to one of my masterclasses before, because I can see a mix of a few people that I know have been to some before and others who possibly are first time to this. So let me know if you've been to one of my masterclasses, because if you have, I've got some content that might be familiar, but also some really great new content for you today. So let me know into the chat, and then once we've done that, we'll go on and get started. So, all good with you. Okay, right. So, I think that's probably a good number of people that are on live now. Betty, you're saying that you've been before. Fabulous, good to see you back. First time for Dominic. Okay, good. Okay, been before Darren. Hello, Darren. Nice to see you. Right then, fabulous. I'm going to get going now then, because it looks like we've got a good few people that have joined. So, right then, so welcome. Today's masterclass is about how do you cultivate an entrepreneurial mindset that actually enables you to grow your business. And it's a topic that I love to talk about because once you do this, once you change your mindset, you achieve your goals so much faster and actually without working harder. And of course, that's what everybody wants. And that's because you show up as the absolute best version of yourself. And from that position, it's much easier to grow a business. And the reason I love to talk about this is because lots of what I talk about actually isn't widely known. And when people discover this and start to learn about it and act on it, then they start to see huge changes in their lives. But the thing is, lots of people actually don't spend much time on themselves and their personal development. And so when they do, what they find is that they can consistently turn up with their A game. They can be delivering at their peak level all of the time and actually delivering to their full potential. And that's actually what's needed to grow a business, is to turn up on your A game so that you achieve your goals with more ease, less work, less effort and less stress. Now, if you've been before and if we've known each other for a while, you'll know as a person, I'm all about getting results with speed, efficiency, and getting to things as quickly as I can without wasting loads of time. So with that being said, my aims, as always today, are to provide you with as much information as I can in the hour we've got together. I'm going to share with you insights and methods that are based in neuroscience, so that you know what you need to do to achieve your goals faster, and also so that you know why what I talk about actually works. I'm going to take some time at the end to introduce you to my Limitless Success Academy that focuses on building a mindset for business success, so that even when things are uncertain around you, you don't get held up, you make progress, you move forward and you achieve your goals. Now, that being said, look, some of you won't be interested in that, and that's absolutely fine. But you will still walk away with plenty of insights and actions to take. And in terms of today, there's a rule that is no questions are off limits. So, I've built this business by sharing really openly how I've gone through this, how I've changed my mindset, and how, in fact, my clients have also changed their mindset too, so that they also achieve their goals faster. And so that won't change today. So if you've got any question, then just ask it. If you're going to ask a question, if I can just ask you on a practical note to put it in the Q&A, because the chat will get very busy in a minute. Or I can see somebody saying that they can't hear. So before I go any further, if there's anyone else that can't hear, let me know. Or maybe that's just one person. I'm going to continue on, but I'll check back in here in a moment. So look, if we've not met before, then I'm Leanne Bridges. I'm a high performance coach, and I support business owners, leaders and high achievers to unlock their potential and achieve their business goals. I'm not going to spend ages talking about myself, because that's not very interesting for you and it's a waste of your time. If you want to learn more about me, you can find out a bit more on LinkedIn. My profile looks like this. and I post daily onto LinkedIn. You'll find loads of tips and insights over there, and you'll also see loads of recommendations for the work that I do and the results that I get with clients. And you'll find those on Google, on my website too. So if we're not connected on LinkedIn, I'd love to connect with you today. So you can do that by scanning the QR code there on your phone, or you can of course just look me up. And if you go across and do that, if I can just ask you to click the more button and connect with me rather than just follow me, and that means that we can have a conversation together and you're more likely to see more of the things I post. But the one thing I'll share with you is that everything I talk about today, I've experienced, I've been there, I've done it, I've made all the changes that I talk about. And so if you want to ask me anything about that and my personal experience, then feel free to do that, because I know how all this stuff actually feels and actually what it takes to change. So I'm going to get straight into what you're here for now, which is how do you cultivate an entrepreneurial mindset? How do you do that and actually use it to enable you to grow your business? So I'm going to start here. So I've spoken to 850, more than that, business owners over the last 4 years, and there are 5 core reasons that they're failing to get the results that they deserve. And if you've been in one of my masterclasses before, you'll have heard me talk about these, but I'm going to share them today from the point of view of like an entrepreneurial business owner's perspective and what specifically comes up for them. So as I reveal them today, if you can just take a moment to think about whether this applies to you, because I'll tailor the masterclass then slightly to focus more on those and more relevant for the people that are here live today. So number 1, the first reason that most people tell me gets in their way is that they second guess themselves. So even though these people are really busy, action takers, they're getting all the stuff done, they actually avoid some really business critical tasks or decisions. So clearly not all critical tasks and decisions, but there will be a few core things that are really holding them back. Now, very often, business development and sales come up here, not for everyone, but for a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs and MDs, sales can be an issue. But I'm going to go into that in detail later, so I'm not going to talk about that now. But the other sorts of things that come up, other than sales and business development, which I think is like one of the key things, is that sometimes clients find that they find it hard to make decisions that affect the long term for their business. And I had someone say to me that they sometimes feel like there are 5 cars at the starting lineup for a specific way to go with their business, and you know that they've all got potential, they probably all could win and get you there, but you worry, will you pick the winning car? And that means that they're not taking the strategic decisions quickly enough in their business and just moving forward. They're just getting held up on important things. If they actually picked one and did it, would move their business on. And I had another client telling me that they had to deal with, and this comes up all the time, with issues with people. This was specifically a supplier, and that he was really struggling to do it, but he knew he needed to tackle it, and he just felt like it was all going to cause this big headache, this big issue. And he said to me, I've spent probably half of the last goodness knows how many weeks worrying about this issue, and it's taking up all this headspace and it's causing a big commercial issue in my business. And so rather than deal with these types of things, these decisions, these actions that need to be taken that feel really difficult, they're doing other things. But of course, when they deal with these things, they have massive commercial benefits to their business. Now, what drives this really is mindset. It's self-doubt that crops up in certain situations or contexts. And this doubt, it just keeps coming back and it causes them to second guess themselves and then think about the issue a bit more before they tackle it. And this mental looping is taking up time and it's burning through energy, and of course it slows you down. Now, these are all people that have got years of experience who are running businesses, some of them very successful business, but these feelings of doubt, they just keep coming back over and over again and they get in the way. So I'd be interested to hear from you. Let me know in the chat, have you ever doubted your decisions and got held up going round in circles in your head, when really, if you look back on it, you should have just decided, acted and moved forward? Because there is a mindset issue causing this. It's actually a pattern and you can break it. And I'll share some more about how to do that later on, because it's not your fault and it's solvable. And when you crack it, you actually can achieve more, move forward faster, with much less stress too. So let me know in the chat, is that something that you find yourself doing? Because that's really very common. So the second area Oh, good. People are saying that they can still hear. Yeah, analysis, paralysis. That's exactly it, Craig. So the second issue then is that they think that if they learn more, get more knowledge or strategies or skills, that it will help them achieve more and grow their business. So they start to think, well, if I learn some more, then I'll maybe deliver a better service for my client, or I'll be more credible if I know more about that. And quite often it's just they just feel like they don't know enough. And so they typically will do lots of courses or research or reading, all in an attempt to be armed with the knowledge that they think that they need. And this desire for knowledge means that they over prepare or over research things to compensate for thinking that they need to know more. And the time that this takes means that they're actually not making the progress that they could. Now, I had this with someone the other day where they were going off to do another course to develop their skill set for the area they already service in their business, because they felt like they just needed more skills. And the reality was that they had stacks of tools already that they could have been selling. And so rather than focusing on how do they sell those or make the operation more efficient or do the things that they need in their business, they're focusing on learning something else that, quite frankly, they don't need. So all of that just eats through time. And let me know for you whether you've done that, whether you've gone off and you've actually developed yourself in an area and you look back now and you think, well, it's great to get the qualification, but actually it's not fundamentally made much difference to my business and not much difference to my clients either. Be interested to know for you whether you do that. So the third one is they see other people, competitors, people in their network that have started businesses, and they see them nailing it, and they actually might know that they're not as competent or diligent as them, and then they start to question, like, what is going on here? But what they quite often can't see is that self-belief is a missing link. The difference that those other people have is that they're exuding self-assurance or charisma or influential or whatever it is, and actually what's missing is this deep sense of self-belief. Because of course, if you want other people to believe in you and your company, you have to have this rock solid belief in yourself and be completely self-assured. And I think we've probably all experienced it when we've sort of noticed that that's not the case, and you can sort of sense it. And so, but this belief in yourself, this isn't like a personality trait. Charisma is not, necessarily a thing. People actually can learn it and you can develop it. It's just that people don't realise, so they think that people are just born this way. And fundamentally, that can all be changed. So number 4 is they know that they need to be more visible in their business, but there are some things that they're avoiding. So, perhaps they need to go to more face-to-face networking meetings, or perhaps they need to publish and advertise more on social media, or perhaps they need to reach out to new or existing clients. But even though they need to be more visible generally, they don't do it. And I had a client actually who wasn't going to networking meetings. And when we started to talk about it, it was because they thought that one of the competitors of theirs there would be looking at them and thinking, like, who's he to be running this sort of business? Like, he doesn't really know enough about this. Now, interestingly, this person was their ex-boss. And the thing of it is that there was no need for them to feel that way, because they were actually really good at what they do. That was just a feeling. And so once they solved that, they actually started going to the networking meetings and actually showing up and doing more business. But it was just that underlying sense of, I'm not good enough to be here, that was holding them back from being visible. And then number 5, they think that they shouldn't need to do work on themselves. I think this is common across many people, very common. And they should be able to deal with these feelings, this mindset stuff that's holding them back. And that they should be able to do it without any help. They feel like that they need to be this superhuman, infallible person, and that this is a bit of a weakness. And some people feel a bit embarrassed to feel that way. And I know that was something for me, and I'll talk about it a bit more later on. But this belief that they should be infallible and not need to do any work on themselves really holds them back. And so they don't invest any time in investing and growing, and keep doing the same things over and over. And it's still feeling like hard work, sort of hoping it will change. And of course that doesn't happen. Well, there might be peaks and troughs, but fundamentally they'll always end up back there again. So I'd love to know from you, which one of those 1 to 5 resonates the most for you? Is there a particular standout 1 or 2 for you that you notice happening? So you're saying, Peter, imposter syndrome is real. I mean, it absolutely is a real thing, but it's something that people just don't need to have in their life. It's just understanding how to deal with it. And we'll talk through, that leads me nicely into this, we'll talk through all the steps now on how to do that. But do let me know whether 1 to 5 are most relevant for you. Sometimes the chat's a little bit delayed. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. So look, whichever one resonates, we're going to be dealing with all of those across today, and so that you can start making the change, that you can achieve your business goals faster, grow your business in an easier way. And I'll do it by sharing my system. This is fundamental to everything that I teach. It underpins everything, because what I noticed happening is that people do bits and pieces of this and they don't see any results, so then they think it doesn't work, but that's because they don't have the whole process. And what you really need to develop a really strong, resilient mindset for business that will grow a company is all of these steps, and to be doing all of these things so that you are not on a roller coaster of one day feeling like you're winning and the next day feeling like you've just not got anywhere. So right, I'm going to come back to the chat now. I can see people saying, focusing on more knowledge, number 4 for you, Graham, 3 for Dawn and 4. Okay, you've done too many courses. Oh, would I be able to move my video because it's covering up the text? No, I'll try to change the text for next time. But if you've got any questions, then let me know. So I'm sorry about that. If I change it, I'm likely to cut you all off. So if you've got questions that are covered up by text, please let me know and I'll rectify that for next time. So thank you for letting me know. So the first big question then, why should we bother focusing on mindset? Because let's face it, who wants to focus on mindset? But there are some fundamental reasons why we need to do this. And the first one is because, of course, life is too short. You know, we haven't got forever to do this stuff. We haven't got forever to grow a business. Well, you might have, but I don't. I want to retire at some point. And so, you know, most of you, you know, if you're here, you know that you need to make a change, and it's likely that you've thought about it for a while, because people tend to procrastinate on this stuff. You know, it's not very sexy, is it, working on mindset? So my advice to you now is, you know, what you need to do today really is work out what's holding you back and take a decision about how you'll move forward. And I say that because I've spent way too long in my life overthinking things and doubting myself and not making these changes. And you know, I sort of say to myself, like, why didn't I do it any sooner? And of course the answer to that question is I just didn't understand it. I just absolutely didn't know what to do about it. But if I'd have had it at the point when I needed it, then I would be light years ahead of where I am now. So I wanted to start my business when I was 26, and I actually started when I was 43. So I slightly held myself back there. But, you know, if I had this information back then with the idea I had and the mindset I've got now, I would be just so far ahead of where I am now. And just like the revelation that I've had, so many people say to me consistently, God, I wish I'd done this years ago. Because, you know, when you make the changes, well, why wouldn't you make the changes? It doesn't make any sense. But the problem is people just don't know how to do it. And specifically for the people that tend to come to my masterclasses, because typically they're really smart people, and if they had the steps, they absolutely would have done them. So the second reason is this, that you are the single biggest asset that you have. And when you learn how to make the most of yourself, you have more impact, you show up with a strong presence, you're highly productive, you're focused, you just get on with exactly what's needed next. And I wonder whether you've ever stood back and asked yourself, if I can ask you this, but have you ever stood back and thought, why is it that I'm not getting the results that I want? And taken a long, hard look at yourself, thinking, like, what is it internally within me that's actually stopping me doing this? Because it's something that I help clients to do all the time, and it's such a powerful thing to do, to get to the bottom of exactly what's driving this change, because that's where real change happens. And, you know, it's about whether you take a step back and you actually look at it and think, like, what is it I need to do so that I don't have this happen again? Because many people just sit and think, well, I just hope it will work out a bit better next time. And I know I've been there and done that. I did some analysis actually of my program in 23 or last year. And after going through the program, people's performance increased by 71% after resolving these mindset gremlins. That's all they are. They're just bugs really in our mind. You know, 71% more productive. That's really hugely different. So of course, like, why wouldn't you make the use of yourself? because you're the biggest asset, of course, that you have. And also on that same note, because actually most people want to feel more present in the moment, spend more time with their friends and family, have less stress in their life. They want to feel more fulfilled. And when you start to remove all this mindset stuff, then you've got the mind to really enjoy life, enjoy the moment. And then the third thing is, because you'll improve relationships in every area of your life. You know, most of the people I work with find themselves feeling a bit misunderstood or kind of on the periphery of things, and they want to have a positive impact and help people or improve lives, but they find themselves in these situations or conversations where they're just not saying things in a way that works, or where they're building relationships and connections in the way that they want to, and they end up not knowing how to change that. It's just they don't know how to say things in a different way or show up in a different way, so they have relationships where they can get their point across and it actually goes down really well, you know, where the other person appreciates their perspective and what they're sharing, and where they feel like they're driving things. So the third reason that mindset change is so important is because you develop better quality relationships at work, at home, socially. And of course, success in life and business is in fact all about quality of relationships and the impact that we make. So those are the reasons why I think working on mindset is so fundamental. Because when you make these mindset shifts, you go out and all out in your life, you go after what you want, you're visible, you're promoting yourself, you know, you speak and people listen, you've got the good relationships and connections with people that actually feel good too, and you're more present in the moment. So you show up with your A game and you'll reach your goals faster. So who here would like to show up with their A game all of the time? Because that's what we're going to get into next, is actually how do you show up on your A game? Good. Okay, so see what's going on in the chat. Okay, so these 3 steps, I'm going to share with you 3 steps from my system today. And as I say, if you've been to my masterclasses before, there's some different context today that I'm going to share with you. So, and if you've not been before, then you're still in for a treat. So, or you can tell me at the end. So the 3 steps I'm going to share with you are these. They are: get clarity, take control, and making long-lasting change. So part 1 is to get clarity, and this has got 3 core aspects I want to share with you today. So the first stage is about getting clarity on 2 things, and they are what you want, and more importantly, who you want to be and how you want to be in your life. And if you're here today, you're probably seeking a stronger sense of identity, so you can feel like you're having the impact that you want in your business and in life and driving forward faster. And you're probably seeking the ability to make a positive change and show up as the person you want to be. And in fact, the person you actually really are inside. It's just about getting that out there so that you get the results that you deserve. And the thing is, while we're not clear on that, then, you know, we're not focused. And from a mindset perspective, the lack of clarity is a problem. It's a scientific fact. If our mind isn't focused on what we want, and if we keep flitting between that and what we don't want and what's not working, and then one day we think we're going to go all out and really go after it, and the next day think we might just give it all up and find something easier to do, it's that lack of focus that gets in the way, because we're not being direct about what it is that we want. And so I could give you all the tools then to be able to make the changes you want, but until you understand who you are and what you want and what you're doing currently that's getting in the way, then you wouldn't be able to implement the tools in a way where it makes a long-lasting change. So it would be a bit fruitless to do that. So the first part is about being really clear about what you want and who you are. And let me ask you into the comments, because this comes up a lot of times when I'm speaking with people, where they have this thought about their business. It's like, one day I'm going to really go after it, and the next day, actually, do you know what, I could just jack this all in. Let me know in the chat whether that comes up for you. So while you're doing that, let me move on. So step 3 of get clarity is this. And very few people are really aware of this in a way that they connect with. But so what people don't really realise, I'll get there in a minute, what people don't really realise is that they've hardwired into their mind some false beliefs about themselves that impact on how they behave every single day, impact on what they do and what results they get. And so when we're young, when we're 7, things happen, or we're told things about ourselves or life, and we accept those things as facts because that's how children process at that age. Then we go through our whole life believing at an emotional level, and that's important, it's not a logical level, it's an emotional level, and we'll get into that, that these things are true. And so no matter whether you've had a wonderful childhood or not, people pick up these beliefs that are really limiting, because before we're 7 we can't rationalize it, so we accept it as like the truth. And the sorts of things that we pick up vary very person to person, but some of the key ones are these. So things like, I don't feel capable enough, I'm not sure if I'm really good enough, I don't think I know enough, I don't feel smart enough, all those sorts of things. And I talk to people about this and all of these things, and these thoughts and feelings are just so common. And do you know what? They're really, really human. And they're things that we just accidentally came to believe about ourselves. And what people find really hard to grasp is how, on one hand, they absolutely know that they're good enough, smart enough, capable enough. In fact, most of the people that I work with are capable of amazing results because they're really smart. But the thing is, they don't feel that way. And that's the issue here, is about not feeling that way. And it's the feeling that stops them. You know, when you think back now to things you haven't done, it's about what you thought, and then they get a sense of not wanting to do it. And that's what stops people. So the problem is emotional. Emotional and not logical, because if it was logical, all these people would have worked it out already, because they're smart self-starters with good businesses, but they know that they're not using their full potential, and this is why it is. It's just human nature that it happens, and I'll share with you what to do about it today, but I just want to share a bit of context to make sure that you really appreciate what's going on with this. So what many people don't realise is that we've got a conscious and an unconscious mind. Sometimes we call it the subconscious. You can see here the difference between the two. In the conscious part of our mind is where we all think things happen. So it's where we make all of our decisions. It's where we mentally go through things. It's what's in our awareness all of the time as we're trying to figure something out. The unconscious part of our mind is where we store the things that we learn to do, you know, like walking and talking and all those things. And more importantly, all the things that we've come to believe about ourselves. Almost like computer programs, really. And as things happen, we automatically process them. We go into our unconscious and we very quickly pop out a program based on what we've learned in the past to work out what to do now. And so we automatically do what we do, act how we act, feel how we feel, and say what we say. But we all think that it's the logical part of our brain that we use for conscious thinking that's running our life, but it's not. Our unconscious runs our day. If you think back now to how many things you've done that you didn't have to think through but just did anyway, there'll be thousands of them. Your unconscious actually is responsible for running 95% of your life. And so when I help people uncover these false beliefs, what they realise is they've accidentally been connecting for years to unhelpful things in their past and living like they're true now. So if I explain how this works in practice in business. So Rob is a client of mine. This isn't Rob, because I'm going to be talking about Rob in some detail, but just to give you a bit of sense of what Rob's like. Now, when he approached me, and to everybody else probably, he'd look like he'd have it all nailed in life. You know, he looks pretty confident there. He's got a successful business. He employs a fairly large team of people, and he's also got a really great lifestyle too. So he looks like he's nailing it. But look, for him on the inside, what life really was like was feeling stressed about whether he'd have enough work for his team next month. He was worrying about problems that went on in the team. He was worrying about cash flow. That life wasn't easy for him. Life was really hard work. And he'd say he'd look at all his friends who are employed by people and just think like that sounded easy. Why on earth was he doing this and putting himself through it? And so he would feel like just giving it all up. And so whilst he has a successful business and all the material things that go with it, he says he just wasn't very happy and he wasn't doing everything he needed to actually grow his business. So even though it is successful, there's so much more that was there. Anyway, in reality, you know, he obviously didn't want to give up his business. It's a great business. It makes profit. But when he got to what he wanted, he knows that he's very capable in business. He wanted to grow his business, but what he didn't want was all these feelings of stress and doubt and worry that went with it. And this lack of clarity and these conflicted thoughts about what he should do were actually the things holding him back and making him feel like stressed and tired and just not really happy. So what was going on for him? And the root cause of the problem is his beliefs. He had some deep-rooted beliefs that had been with him, as they have for many of us, all of our life. As a child, he'd felt like he was not as good as other people. He was pretty mediocre at school. He wasn't in the popular group. We all know who the popular group was at school. He wasn't in it. And so he had this sense all the time of never really being good enough at anything. And so what he hadn't realised is that these underlying false beliefs were really impacting him. And you can hear here what the issue was. He just didn't feel good enough. And it's a long-held belief. It was deep-rooted. And he just didn't really realise how it was impacting every day. And so this feeling of not being good enough meant that he kept second-guessing himself and avoiding doing things. And the sorts of things he said to me, things like he didn't quote on jobs where he thought there were better businesses quoting on it. So because he felt like they were a waste of time, they'd pick the competitor over him. Why would they choose him? Because he wasn't as good as the competitor. And he put off reaching out to his network where he could have been picking up business, where in fact he went on to pick up business because he didn't feel good enough. And when he had over-demanding customers who wanted the earth from him, I'm sure we've all had those, he'd find himself like giving in and giving it to them, even though deep down he knew he didn't need to contractually, but he just felt like he had to. And so all of this was all costing him money. And so it's really common for people to have these false beliefs playing in, very common for successful people. But the problem is they're really hard work to overcome and not let them get in your way. And they stop you making progress. And, you know, the old adage of what got you here won't get you there, you know, they got him to this point in his business, but it won't enable him to go further on with it because it's so hard to overcome them all the time. Because like while you've got these false beliefs at an unconscious level, you're making all these decisions based on them. So if you take the feeling of not being good enough, if we believe we're not good enough, our unconscious drives decisions that aligns to that all day, every day. And that's what stops us saying what we need to say, promoting ourselves, being really visible and impactful. Our unconscious is trying to hold us back from doing that because we've got this belief that's playing in all the time that we're not good enough. And so our mind wants us to survive. So it's saying, stop, don't do that. You're not good enough for that. That being said, it's all possible to change. You'll be pleased to hear, and I'll talk about how you do that a bit later on. But once Rob did that, he got the clarity on what he needed. He got the clarity on what he wanted, on who he wanted to be, how he wants to show up in his life. He got clear on his false beliefs, and then he went on to implement some more steps that I'll talk about in a minute and change them. His life changed. He's now promoting his business. He goes after opportunities. His order book has gone from jobs that were booked in month to month to a 6-month pipeline. And now he agrees prices and terms with his customers. He sticks to them. He charges people for work outside of the scope of those terms of the project. So commercially, it's made a huge impact for him because he feels so good in himself, and that's benefiting his business in the way that he's showing up. It's benefiting him in his life too, because, you know, who wouldn't want to feel like that? And the thing is, you can't stumble over these false beliefs that are impacting you. And, you know, with Rob, we had to work it out because he was putting in so much effort and it just wasn't obvious to him what it is. People can't work this stuff out for themselves, but to move forward, they really need to. Now, at the end of the session, I will offer you to join me on a call where we can talk through that for you. And on the call, we would discuss what it is you want to achieve next and what's getting in your way and how you can grow beyond where you are now so that you don't miss out on opportunities that you absolutely could be taking. Now, the calls will be with me. They're one-to-one and they'll be for around 20 to 30 minutes. I'll share a QR code for anybody that decides during this presentation that they want one. You can grab one. I think I've got something like 15 slots available this week. That's all I've got. So if you want one, then just go ahead and grab one. And you'll see that there's some questions there that I ask you. I really need you to fill those in so that I know what I need to be talking to you about. Don't need loads of detail, just a few sentences will do. So the QR code's there that you scan with your phone, or there's the URL there, which is leannebridges.com/apply. So if I go back into this now then, and I want to get on to taking control, but in terms of get clarity, what we really need to take from that now is that most people don't know what's getting in their way because they're so used to how they think about things. And for me, I speak to you in person. As I speak to you in person, it becomes really clear about what it is because I'm really used to doing it. But to move forward, you have to figure this stuff out. And when you've figured it out, you have to take control of it and decide to change it and be really committed to it. Be open to new ways of doing it, because the reality is most people think about this stuff for so long in their life, and that doesn't make the change. change. It's about being prepared to try some different things. But getting clarity is a bit that nobody wants to do, because that's just boring. What everybody wants to do is get into the action. But once you get clear on that piece first, the next step of implementing the take control stuff just is so much better. They're so much more effective because you really know what you're dealing with. So in terms of take control then, most people don't take control because they don't know what to do, because they would have done it otherwise. But in an attempt to change things, they try to do that, obviously. And my experience of that is that they think that if they want to grow their business, the thing to do might be to work harder, or maybe it's to do more. But the reality is that isn't how it works, because if you do more and more of the wrong things, then you're just going to get more and more of results that are the same, rather than doing more and more of the right things, which is about changing our mindset and changing our actions. And thinking about, how do I get to my objective in the quickest time frame possible? What are the things I can do and the behaviours I can start to change that will get me there faster? And so, for instance, when you don't get the outcome you want, have the impact you want, do you go back and look at the root cause and really get to grips with it? Do you look at what in your mind triggered you to do the thing that you did or actually didn't do? Do you identify what it was that meant that you didn't get that outcome? Because many people just move on and hope that over time, the way that they feel or think or act will just change and improve. But of course, that doesn't happen naturally. So I ask you that because I was there, I've been in that place, and I didn't have a plan to use. I didn't know how to do it. So in terms of taking control, there are two important steps I'm going to share with you today. Number one is you need to reprogram your self-critical thoughts, these negative false beliefs, by resetting your neural pathways so that you stop getting held up by second guessing yourself or not feeling like doing something or procrastinating on something or holding back. And I've explained that these neural pathways are created when we're young, often before we're 7. And once we've got a belief like, I'm not good enough, smart enough, knowledgeable enough, decisions and patterns of behaviour just happen because of the way that we programmed them in. Now, we've programmed our response, and then so no matter how hard we try to stop feeling that way, instincts will always override it. You can't override this stuff very easily with willpower. It takes a lot of effort. So what you need to do is reset your neural pathways, which are like your thinking programs. And when you do that, then you using mindset techniques, by the way, that actually work, you then can silence all the self-criticism. You can let go of irrational feelings, all of the things that are holding you back in these mental loops, and actually just drain you of energy that is better invested in your business. So I tell you all of this because it's game changing when you get there, and I've been there myself, and I lived and breathed this for so long. It went on for years and years in my life, and I'm in a place now where I don't have it, and I've got to tell you that feels good. And if you're in that position now too, you might relate to some of this, but to everyone else, this is what my life looked like. It looks pretty good, doesn't it? I've got lovely family. We go on tons of holidays, and I had an amazing career prior to running this business. I've been working as an international HR director. We won awards as we were there for our approach to employment, and I was the HR director leading on the people agenda. So on the face of it, a very successful person. But the trouble was, I was really struggling with how I was thinking, and I was overthinking everything, and I was worrying about things, and that caused me to overwork, and it just all made me feel really tired out with it all. And I was really unsure if I could achieve more, hence why I think delayed so long for my business. But deep down, I had this sense I had so much more in me. And I used to believe stuff like, oh, there must be better HR directors out there than me. My company will want someone else when they see that I'm not good enough for this. Or I don't know enough to be leading on this. Even though I had 25 years experience, it was a ridiculous thing to think, but that's what I was thinking. And then I'd see other people and perceive them to be better. I'd go to conferences, I'd see other HR directors, and I would just perceive with no evidence, half of them I hadn't spoken to, but I would believe just by looking at them that they delivered more, knew something I didn't, because they had this air like they'd nailed it all. And of course, there was no evidence. I did a really good job for that business, but I couldn't see it, and I could not feel that. I could not feel successful in that job. And now what I appreciate is that's a really common problem. But if you leave it, it just stifles your creativity. It stops you from promoting yourself, it means you don't take the action you need to move forward at the pace you could. So it stops you achieving everything that's possible. And so much as I was successful in that role, I really struggled to talk about how I felt about myself, or even admit to myself how I felt about it. But life did feel hard work, and it was really exhausting. And the thing is, I thought that was the only way. And so I'd read a book or have some coaching. So I had some coaching, I went through some CBT, I tried some counselling to see if I could crack it, but nothing did. And I remember going to some of the coaches, and in fact the counsellor too, and they're like, you should just change how you think about that, Leanne. I'm like, well, you don't say, if only I knew how. And that was the issue here. Now, for me, luckily, I did find the solution, which is a solution that I share with other people. And what I found was that once I overcame these things, I could just put all of my energy into productive work instead of wasting all that time on all that stuff, that noise that was holding me back. And so it was a total relief for me to be able to do that and pour it into productive work. And life's so much easier now because I haven't got a doubt if I'm capable. I believe in myself. You know, running a business, things don't always work out for me. Surprisingly, you know, it's a business, of course they don't. But the thing is now, if something happens, it's a problem, I work out what I'm going to do and I move on. It doesn't hang over me, I don't overthink it, I just move on through it. I enjoy selling my services, I love telling people about what I do, I love the impact it has on people, and I'm really proud of that. And I really don't think my business would be in this position now if I had my old mindset. I just wouldn't be doing any of that. I'd be holding back, not wanting to say anything about what I was doing, not telling anyone, not reaching out to my network, all of those things that would be not at all helpful. So look, for me, after I found this solution and realised that mindset challenges can be overcome, but you actually have to reprogram the way that you think. But you need to use mindset tools that are grounded in neuroscience. So I've researched a range of tools, I qualified in a range of them, and now actually I'm able to I'm trained to such an extent that I can develop my own tools. So I've created a whole framework that basically changes the way that you think so that you are more successful, more productive, make more impact, and all those great things. And ultimately, so that you can just feel a deeper sense of peace with yourself, because lots of people come to me because they want to grow their business or develop themselves in a professional career. But actually what most people really want as much as that is to feel a sense of peace that they might not have felt for absolutely ages. And so that's what this also does too. Let me know for you if that's the thing, whether it's just growing a company you're interested in, or actually you would like to feel more at peace with yourself and what's going on in your life and your business. So someone's saying my video has stopped. Hopefully not. Let me just check what's going on here. Looks like everyone's still here, so hopefully that's just one person. But let me know if you've got a problem. Okay, so in terms of the framework, that's what I share with other people, and today I'm going to share with you some more of that. So the next thing that I want to share with you today is about taking control. And I want to talk about how to take control when things are uncertain and you start to feel those feelings associated with fear, like apprehension or nervousness or worry or anxiety, all those sorts of things that get in your way. Like, what is it that you can put in place to overcome any obstacle that gets in your way? How can you deal with uncertainty? How do you stop it distracting you? Because when you've got something difficult to do, I think from experience, I know I would go and put the kettle on and not get it done. So how do you stop fear distracting you from the things that you need to do, or letting your mind wander away to catastrophize in all the things that could possibly go wrong? Let me ask you, have you got a way to be able to overcome like these things when it gets tough? Or, you know, maybe you sit there and worry about it and then let it run around in your mind and find that you get held up. If you do, that's not your fault. It's just about having a way to overcome it, and most people don't know that. And you know, I've been there, you've just seen the pictures. But what I notice is that feelings like fear or worry hold people back, and they just don't have a way to deal with them. And so when you learn that, for myself, my clients, is a game changer. The thing is, it's not always obvious that that's what's going on. And I've got clients that say to me, oh, actually, I don't fear those things. I don't really fear anything. But when we take a deeper look, there's always something that's going on that they do fear that wasn't really obvious, but they've given themselves another reason, because it's not very nice to admit that we're like worried about something or scared about something. We feel like some of us feel like we shouldn't feel that way, and that we should be superhuman and be able to deal with anything. And I know one of my standout clients for this is he didn't like live video, and he said to me, oh, that's just about how prepared I am, and that's not fear, that's just lack of preparation. But it wasn't. When we dug into it, that totally was fear driving all of those behaviours. And once I helped him deal with that, he's really good on video. It's just possible to deal with fear. It's just about knowing what to do about it. So to help explain, our brain likes us to stay the same. That's how it's wired. It's wired for survival, to keep us safe. It's not wired to grow businesses. So when things happen, it triggers us to protect ourselves. And something will happen, and our brain will try and stop us from doing something that it thinks is going to have an intended negative outcome. And of course, our brain is very primitive. It hasn't evolved as fast as society. So our reaction is counterproductive to success in like modern day. And so it can mix up fear of modern day issues with fear for our life. And a good example of that is when people say, oh God, I'm scared to death of public speaking. And of course, no one died from public speaking, but actually I'm scared to death. They fear it in the same intense way. And so our brain wants us to stay in our comfort zone because it doesn't want us to try new things, not put ourselves out there, because actually it thinks that's not safe. Now, there are two very common fears. There are loads of them, but two that I'll touch on now. The first is fear of failure. Of course, if we want to succeed, we're unfortunately going to make some mistakes. And it's okay, isn't it? Because we'll survive. It isn't a threat to our life, but it is a threat to our pride. And that's what's really going on with fear of failure. It's about hurting our ego, because our primitive brain doesn't realise that failing to achieve a goal isn't a threat to our life. It can't distinguish between the two. It associates them the same. And so where there's a conflict between conscious and logical thinking and unconscious or habitual thinking, we will talk ourselves out of the very thing that we need to do if we fear it. So whilst you might logically know that you're perfectly capable of something, your brain will trigger thoughts like what if that doesn't work out? Oh, what if you do that and you embarrass yourself? What if you do that and they say, oh, what do they know about that? And all these what ifs that go on, it just wastes so much time and it takes up so much energy, and it really holds us back, because those are often all the very things we need to be doing to grow a business. And then the second thing is fear of being a fraud. So fear of being found out. We wonder when someone's going to find out we don't know enough. And I talked about this earlier in this, like what I call procrastinating. Keep learning things and perfecting our knowledge and upgrading that before most people do this. And at some point they'll go on to approach me, but they spend ages trying to upgrade themselves with loads of knowledge, and actually they didn't really need it. What it was really about is about their false beliefs and their feelings that were getting in the way, and they didn't ever need all of this extra knowledge. So it's perfectly possible to move through this. Fear was an issue for one of my clients, Christine. I'll tell you briefly about her and what we did. So she worked in corporates, had a senior role, took redundancy, set up her own business. Common story here, isn't it, for lots of people? And she'd been working in her business for about 2 years, but wasn't making headway when she joined my program. And she told me that she had some self-doubt problems, which meant she wasn't going out. Oh, I don't know, I've done something wrong here with the slides anyway. Okay, but anyway, bear with me. I think I'm one ahead. But anyway, she was telling me that she had some self-doubt problems. And what it meant is she wasn't going out and making sales. And that's what she actually, of course, needed to do because she's a solopreneur. And she was finding reasons not to do it. And she said to me, I'm just avoiding serious business development. So she was really good at networking. That's in fact where I met her, because it's a really nice community for her, networking. But what she hated was cold calling, cold sales. And she found it hard, but couldn't understand really why, because it's not actually really that a hard thing to do, is it? It's just saying some things or going and seeing some people, but it felt really hard. And she knew that she needed to do that to make her business sustainable in the long term. And so she couldn't understand what was going on. Why was it she was avoiding it? Why couldn't she do it? Now, fear was a problem for her. It is for many of my clients. Fear of making a mistake, making the wrong decision, fear of putting yourself out there, fear of people looking at you and wondering, like, why it is you're doing what you're doing and whether you're really up to it. Fear gets in the way of so many people. And for Christine, as it says here, has for a while, and when you overcome that, like, it makes such an impact. So for her, she stopped feeling fearful, self-doubt and not good enough, and in 10 weeks she increased her income by 50% by overcoming this mindset block that was getting in the way of her going out and making the sales that she needed to in her business. But she nearly didn't do it because it takes a lot to admit it, doesn't it? And then B, invest in yourself like that, both time and money in doing that. But like she says, she's glad she did because everything changed for her. So fear that you may or may not be able to see in yourself holds so many people back. It's such a big issue, and when it goes, it's something that people find really like shocking, because and they say things like, that feeling, it's just gone. But of course you get so used to feeling it that it's surprised when it's not there anymore. And I had a client who used to wake up, which I don't understand it, I wake up anxious every single morning. And when we got to the bottom of it, she learned what was causing it and then dealt with it. One morning she messaged me and she said, I woke up and it gone, this feeling of like anxiousness. And so I actually looked for it. I don't recommend looking for it, but she did. And she said, but it wasn't there. And so I just started to think about what I wanted from life instead. So gone through lots with you today in terms of some of the steps that I use with clients to actually address some of these subconscious thoughts and feelings that get in the way. Let me just recap on my 5 takeaways for today. These really are my serious 5 recommendations for you to walk away with now, so that you move forward here. And, you know, these come from me from a place of kindness as someone that has been there, done it, experienced it. I really wholly recommend that you take these and do something with them. So one is, take the time to think about what it is you want. Take time to truly decide what you want. And then the second thing is to get clear on your identity and who it is you actually want to be in your business and how you want to be showing up. And then the third thing to do is to work out exactly what false beliefs are limiting your success. Don't guess them, but actually work out what are they specifically that are causing you to get held up. And then the fourth thing is to use techniques then to reset your neural pathways so that you act as the person that you want to be, so that you become the person that you see yourself as, so that you say what you need to in those moments where you might ordinarily have held back. And the fifth thing is about fear. You know, fear holds people back because they don't know how to control it. So find a way that works for you, because life really doesn't need to be so hard as we often can make it for ourselves. So look, to achieve more, to achieve your full potential, get the results you deserve, you do not need to work harder, do more or cope better. What you do need to have is a process to decide who you are, what you want, and eliminate self-critical thoughts and feelings that are getting in the way of you achieving that. And I'm certain that you'll be passionate about what you do. Most people that are in my world tend to be very passionate about what they do and tend to be incredibly capable too. But what we need to do is get you to a point where you get the results that you deserve, but in an easier way without all of this stuff going on. So let me know, is that something that you would like? Would you like to grow your business in an easier way by really like unleashing your true potential in life, your full potential? Let me know if that's something for you. Okay. Meant to say plus put the kettle on and avoid technique. That's absolutely right. Okay, so in terms of this, if you're still here, I'm assuming that it's something that you would like. I hope it's been helpful for you to understand more about what's going on and to get some more insights into the things that you need to be doing and thinking about. Obviously, there's only so much I can go through in a 1-hour session with you today, but I hope that that's been useful for you. For those of you that that's resonating with, and there will be time for Q&A, by the way, at the end, but for those of you this is resonating with, and you're sat here thinking, actually, you know, I do need to do something different. I actually want to live and experience life in a different way. I want to grow my company and get results in an easier way, and you're ready just to get on and get this done, then I've got an opportunity for you. It's only for you if you're looking at this and realizing that you haven't got enough clarity, that you don't know exactly what it is that you want, and you're not really sure how you want to be showing up, and you're not taking enough control of like your goal, your thoughts, your actions, your feelings, the way that you're thinking. If you're sat here thinking that you really want to make this change now, and this won't be for everybody, it's for a person that wants to make this long-lasting change right now, I just want to introduce you to my Limitless Success Academy. I'm opening it now for just a few days. So I'll be taking this cohort in between now and Friday. And it's a program with in-person coaching and mentoring with accountability that's going to motivate you to get this work done. So if you don't want to do the work on this, of course, it wouldn't be for you. But what I've got is a framework and a set of steps within that for you to follow. It basically shows you how to change your thinking, change your mindset, and all of the techniques that you need to get this stuff done. So I do it across 12 weeks, and it's one module a week. It takes about an hour a week. It's bite-sized, step by step, because most people I work with don't have much time, but an hour or so a week, they can fit that in. And it's a framework using my system, the steps that I've already shown you. And step one is about mindset fundamentals. So let me ask you, do you know what subconscious thoughts and false beliefs are getting in the way of your success right now? Because if the answer for that for you is that you're not sure, in step one of my program, then I'll help you uncover it. And I explain precisely how your mind works. I share mindset fundamentals that people just don't know. So like more explanation than today in a deeper level. I'll share the science behind my framework and why it works for everyone. And I'll help you get clarity about what you want, who you are, and actually what's been stopping you. What are those false beliefs? And because I like everyone to get a quick win, I share some tools in that first section, which actually helps you stop being nervous in high pressure situations, so you can switch on cast iron confidence. And you'll recall me talking about Christine a minute ago. For her, that was a game changer. It meant that she had a way of doing sales activity that she'd actually avoided all of that time. Just that one tool on its own paid dividends for her. So step two is about reprogramming your mindset. So this is where the magic happens. In the reprogramming stage, you alter your beliefs and your thoughts at a deep level, and you discover how to replace negative thoughts with new empowered thinking, so that you don't get held up in negative thought spirals and you move forward like effortlessly and easily. And you'll master emotional control using more techniques so that you're self-assured in any situation. And as Colin said, he said that I once said to him, it's hard to lead a cavalry if you think that you look funny on a horse. And for him, that resonated. And so what he came to understand is what his limiting beliefs were. And the program has liberated him from beliefs he knew about and some that he didn't know about either. And then step three of the program is where you'll learn, which is embed and embark. So you'll learn new mindset principles and strategies, because business people are much like, from a mindset perspective, Olympic athletes. You know, have you ever wondered how successful business people think? You know, those that are at the top of their game, because lots of people don't give that any thought. I mean, why would you? But there are some fundamental principles that they're applying. So in step three, I'll share those principles with you so that you can achieve your own exceptional results and start to grow your business in an easier way with a different sort of way of thinking about things. And you also get mindset accelerator tools, so that you stop all of your self-sabotaging behaviour. And of course, as you move through that journey, you will have new opportunities, and then unfortunately you are going to hit bumps in the road. That's going to happen. But this stage of the programme equips you with tools to quickly move through that, so that you confidently navigate anything that gets in your way and proceed on, so that nothing holds you back. And Simon says that it's helped him in a number of areas, and from a business and a personal perspective, he's now got a better understanding of thought patterns and emotions and how these are having such an impact on what he's doing, and he's much better equipped with a toolkit to take him forward in his business now. And then step four is about social success. So having done all that work on yourself, this stage is about how do you finesse your social influence so that you have more impact and build better quality relationships. And you'll learn how to assert yourself regardless of difference or disagreement. And, you know, you'll discover, this is a really popular piece for people, discover how to stop being triggered by certain people. Most people have got one or two people that might trigger them in their life, and you'll learn how to actually deal with that so that you're not triggered by those people anymore. And so for Jimmy, he says that actually I help guide him to address his internal challenges with dealing with difficult people and situations. And their changes aren't superficial, they're deep down lifelong changes. And that's because many of our issues in dealing with difficult situations and people come from within. And once he learned how to do that, then it changed everything for him. And then step 5 is head off with habits for success. You know, just would ask you here is, have you ever had one thing that you've always wanted to do, or to be able to do, or you've never really felt like you're very good or capable at doing? Because in the program, using the steps that I'll share, you'll learn how to use the main asset that you have in your life. And so in this stage, you'll draw your insights and learning together, acknowledge how far you've come, and move forward from here. And so if I just share with you a testimony from Kelly, who just said that she'd been finding it hard to take action in her business, and she deep dived to uncover what was holding her back. And once she did that, it started to shift things very quickly for her. She started taking more action and become more empowered, enthusiastic and self-belief, and started really promoting her business. So as with Kelly and all my other clients, this journey started on a call like the one that I've offered you. I'll talk about the call in a moment, but if you're sat here and you know that you would like a call, then I suggest that you scan that now. Actually, I can see now that that QR code isn't going to work, is it? Because it's got my photo over it. So if you want to apply at leannebridges.com/apply, or I'll go back in a minute and grab a QR code for you. But those of you that are sat here thinking that this is for you, then, or something that you're interested in and you want to know what you would get, what you get is this. You get access to my Limitless Success program, which is for 12 months. Okay, but the program itself doesn't take 12 months to do. The training program itself is 12 weeks. So basically there are 12 weekly step-by-step modules. So they get released, you do around about an hour a week on a module, and then the next week you'll be sent the next module for 12 weeks. But what you do get is support for 12 months to make sure that you embed all of that and really understand it well before the end of your program. So you'll get the 12 modules for 12 weeks so that you can implement all the things I talk about today. You'd also get access to 2 monthly group coaching workshops. So it's face-to-face opportunity for you to get some support, to take these steps. And every month I'll deliver content to you in new ways so that you start to see things from different perspectives, really connect with it and make these changes. But the majority of the work actually is in the first 6 weeks. That's where the real magic of this program lies, is in the first 6 weeks of it. And then sort of the 6 to 12 or 7 to 12 are kind of the icing on the cake pieces. And then you'll also get access to my private online community, so that if you get stuck at any point, you can just message a question in and I'll answer it for you, so that you never get held up in your program, that you can always quickly move on. You also get accountability to get this done. And then finally, you get access to my personal productivity blueprint course, which basically helps you to focus on high value activities to make certain that you're actually not wasting time. Because lots of people find, or when they go through this program, find that there are a number of things that they're doing in their life where they're wasting time. And I want to be able to help you create time so that you've got time to invest in this program and in yourself. So for 12 months, you get access to all of that. And as I say, it typically will take 12 weeks, but change happens from week 1. So this isn't a course where you just sit and listen. This is a course where you're doing things every single week to actually make changes. In terms of the cost of that, it's £997 if you pay in full, or there's a payment option where you can pay across 12 months at £97 a month. For me, I think that's exceptional value, because you're really getting all of, and probably more of, what I do in my one-to-one programs. There's so much support included across that for a whole year. So if you're sat here thinking, though, that actually you would like some personal support, you would prefer to do some one-to-one work, I do take on a really limited number of one-to-one clients per month. So if you want to explore that, then also book a call and we can look at doing that. But if you've heard all that and you've got questions, and of course you can book a call and we'll discuss it, or I'm going to open a Q&A now, and then I'll take questions. So feel free to ask me anything you like. While I just let you put any questions into the chat, then I am going to just go back and get that QR code for the call so that you can actually scan it if you would like one. So where is it? Somewhere here. Right, there we go. Can you see? There we go. That one looks like it's that one looks like it would scan. So if you would like a call with me, then please scan that code or use the URL and book one. But let me take questions and answers, or let me take questions and I'll answer them for you now. How do you decide the right thing to do first? In terms of this, the right thing to do first is to decide what you want to do. That's the first thing that you need to do, because if you haven't got a goal that is centered on something, you're going to find that you're going all over the place, and your mind cannot focus. Your mind needs really clear focus and direction. It almost needs instruction from you on what it is that you want to achieve. So the first place is definitely like, what is it that you want? And then the next thing is, how is it you want to be? And then it is, what's getting in the way of that? And that's the order to definitely work through the first few pieces, certainly. So let me know, does that answer your question, Sandy, or not? If your question was slightly different to that, let me know, or if I've not answered it, then just say, and I'll try and provide more explanation. Okay, Darren's after the link. Plenty to think about, thank you. The other things again. Okay, right, great. So that looks like it's answered it for you. Perfect. Has anyone else got any questions they'd like to ask? Really happy to answer anything. So, okay, spot on, learnt a lot. Okay, Mary's saying she would like more answers. In terms of this session, really, it's about giving you the framework to use, because that's the absolute starting place. Without having a really good framework to work through, for example, if today I did a session on how to overcome fear, it would be difficult for it to land, because some people here just won't be clear on what it is they want, who they want to be, and what's getting in the way. And fear is a later piece, for example. So in terms of this session, really, it's about me giving you an insight to the whole process, all the things that you need to think about and what you need to be doing to move forward. Okay. Would you repeat the fourth? Oh, okay, I don't know what that was about. Right, okay, good. So I think I've gone back through those now. So people got lots to reflect on. Fabulous. You're really so welcome. But let me have a look and see how many we've got on. Okay, we've still got a lot of people here live. So I'm wondering if there are people sat here with questions. Is there anyone sat here with a question that they've not wanted to ask? If you have, then either, I think you can drop it in the chat privately to me, or message me afterwards. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, or you can email me through my website, leannebridges.com, and I'll answer any questions for you. But if I don't get any more come through, then I'll assume not. So thank you for your attention today. And thank you for your participation and getting involved in the chat. That always makes it really interesting when that happens and people start to see how much of this goes on for other people in business too. So what is the best way to prepare for the discovery call? The best way to prepare is just to answer the questions on the invite. Just you don't need to put lots of detail, but obviously the more you put in, the better. But please don't get held up on that. And then come to the call really with any questions that you've got. And I'll take a look at what you put on the Calendly invite, and I'll lead the conversation from there. So I don't know if that's answered the question for you, but you don't really need to do lots of preparation other than answer the question on the Calendly. That's probably the simple answer. Okay, good. I can see another question's come in now. Has it on the Q&A? How do you overcome not being able to ask for what you need? Oh, not being able to ask for what you need is the surface level problem. So that's what you're seeing. There's something that's driving why you can't ask for what you need. And I had a bit of an example of this morning with a client where she couldn't ask for what she needed. And when we dug into, I'm trying to remember because we went back through a lot of levels. When we went back through it, it was because of fear of rejection for her. So, the thing is, it's always different for everybody. There's some patterns, but everyone's different. So what underlies that for you, I don't know. But for her, that was about a fear of rejection. And so what then we went on to do is work through actually resolving that underlying deep set fear of being rejected so that she could ask for what she needs moving forward. So yeah, what you're seeing there is actually the kind of like the tip of the iceberg. You're seeing the behaviour, and what's driving it is a root cause belief that you've got about yourself that's actually getting in the way of that. So let me know, Tricia, is that sort of enough information for you? Okay, so it sounds about right for you too. Yeah, so quite often there are patterns to some of these things, but I'm always a bit reluctant to say it definitely is because I don't know until we get into it. Okay, perfect. Right then, so I think that looks like it might be everyone. If anybody does have any questions, still not too late, do pop them in. I do want to make sure that you've left with, and still see there's loads of people on. So let me update that. Yeah, no, there's still a lot of people here. So if you've got any other questions, ask them into the Q&A quickly. Otherwise, I'm going to close down the call. If you want to watch the replay again, then I'll send out a link for that a bit later on today. So you can go back through and watch again. It'll be available for a few days now. And if you'd like a discovery call with me, a strategy call, then feel free to book one of those. Just grab yourself a slot that works and we'll take it from there. But there aren't any more questions coming up. So I'm going to close down the call here. As I say, if you've got any questions, then just message me. So thank you for your attention today and wishing you a great rest of the day. Take care.